connecting. Here we go. We're live. It says we're live. Bum, bum, bum.
I'll believe it when I see you. Hey, and there you are. And here we are.
Here
Once
we are.
again, here we are face to face. It's dueling terrorists telling the truth on another Trumpy Thursday here on the Political
TNT.
Voices Network. It's dynamite, and that's exactly what Trump has brought to the global economy. He just blew shit up because he could.
And how much longer are we going to take it? My God.
Well, you know, the question becomes, will he walk these back the way he walked back the other ones because they were immensely unpopular from the outset and
maybe.
upset his own people? And when you're upsetting your own people, maybe you should stop doing it.
Well, I don't know if he... Sorry, Tara. Sorry. There is a little bit of a delay.
I know we have a little bit of delay.
It's annoying.
Hey, we said that together.
I know.
Friends, we are getting the new webcam. It's coming this weekend. It is coming this weekend. So next show, we should be exactly the same with zero delay.
I hope so.
Because it won't be through my phone. It'll be through the computer.
It'll be much better.
Dead on. And the banter, it's going to be like hot. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But anyway, so here we are. And it wasn't like we weren't warned, correct? We knew that he was going to come in with this bullshit because nobody understands how a tariff works in MAGA world. The tax, it's a tax on you, the consumer. And so the fact that he's such a fucking idiot, and I'm telling you right now, I'm a little too angry to not get salty today, but he put a tariff on an Antarctic island only inhabited by penguins.
Right.
Only inhabited by penguins. No tariff on Russia, though. That's weird.
That says it all. That says it, everything that we need to know. And because, you know, tariffs, they serve a purpose. But this is not 40 years ago, 50 years ago. We are living in a world economy. That's why you don't go in there like, you know, that goddamn unelected South African sociopath with a chainsaw and shit all over things and make everything worse. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He is living in another time. And he's not, but even still, he doesn't know what he's doing. He is breaking things, as always.
He is. He's not a Elon Musk is not a builder. He's a breaker. He's a buyer. He buys things and then he breaks them.
He's a grifter. He's
Twitter, a grifter. SpaceX, Tesla. And today on Twitter, he didn't respond to me yet, but Mark Cuban was like, well, you know, with all this respect I have for you, and blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. Why are you showing Musk any respect?
What respect?
Because he has more money
Well, that's what it is.
Do?
Yeah, it says we have
to... We've talked about this before. A rich person is not always a smart person.
You went sideways. Yeah, that's your phone.
What happened?
Your phone.
I didn't do anything, though.
I didn't touch it. You
got
something very bizarre. There you go. Yeah, it
but I didn't
picked you up as landscape or whatever the hell. Somehow.
I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait to get that camera.
It'll be much improved. Exactly.
Fucking damn it. All right. See, well, we're just all over the place.
Weird.
It's all topsy-turvy, and it's inside, outside, upside down. So
yes.
I'm so angry, and it's like,
I am too.
You knew this was bad. You know these things are bad, and one of the things that proving that it's bad, there's a video circulating from Marco Rubio talking about how tariffs are bad and it's a tax passed on to the consumer.
Yes.
And now he's like, yay, tariffs, rah, rah, rah.
Because they have no core values, Republicans. We've been saying it for years. They're not they're not pro or small d Democratic Party. You know, they don't like democracy.
And they're not worried about paying their bills.
No, they're authoritarians. They have completely acquiesced to this absolute moron who has no business being anywhere near the halls of power. Neither does J.D. Vance. But this is a whole thing. This is a strategy to destroy all the democracies of Earth. As I don't know if I'm sure you know about this, but because they believe in basically not a intergenerational monarchy like they have in England, but a rule by the technocrat, and that's what I mean. If you, I'm writing an article about it.
It's not a good idea, guys.
Yeah, I'm
Bad
writing
idea.
an article about
Bad
it
idea.
for the Political Voices Substack. Just kind of like a cliff notes on the Nazi roots of J.D. Vance and J.D. Vance's owner Peter Thiel and Traitor Trump's
Right.
owner Elon Musk. They are both from the
Right.
same, cut from the same cloth of these of the
The white
anti-democratic.
sheet.
Yes,
They're cut from the same white sheet.
Yes,
You can borrow
anti-democracy.
that, by the way. Go right ahead.
Yeah, that's the truth, right? I'll put it in the article and I'll give you props because that's what they're doing, and they believe in this. Basically a new world order where they rule. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk rule.
Why can't they just have an island somewhere where they all live together and jerk each other off every
right? Like go
far
away
from us.
Go away.
And it'd be they'd be like, how many billions do you have?
I know.
I have this many billion.
They're sociopaths.
That's all they care about.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me so sick to my stomach. And you think about it, and we've touched on this before, all of the good that they could be doing with all of the money that they have, and that they could end poverty on this planet.
They have that choice.
They could they could save the planet from global warming instead of talking about creating a Nazi colony on Mars.
Yes.
There's a lot that they could be doing, but instead they're doing this. Right. And I continue to picture them, somewhere in a castle. As the world burns around them, there's like 10 of them in a room, and they're all sitting in big leather chairs, and there's like each of them has their own hooker standing behind them, and that's it though. It's like 10 oligarchs,
just hookers,
and their concubines. As they
Musk has a botched
penis, most expensive whiskey.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's why he has to pay for it. But what I'm saying is, this is how the world is going to end, with a room with 10 dudes jerking each other off while society dies around them.
Right. That's
while
it.
Humanity
if we allow it.
While we're ready for another mass extinction event.
Yes.
If we allow it. Now, again, we're seeing a lot of the closing the barn door after the horse has already left. And so, like today, we talked about this right before we went on the air. We're seeing some bipartisan pushback from Congress today, which is great, but it's a lot too late because Senators Chuck Grassley, who is 9,000 years old,
oh God, I know,
and Maria Cantwell, who is from my former state of Washington.
She can't do it well.
She's my former senator. I mean, she's a Democrat, though, so she's trying. She's trying to do it well.
She's trying. I just had a brain fart.
I also don't expect you to know the names of every single senator and every single Congress,
I mean,
a lot of names to remember.
Some of these Dems are, the problem too.
Well, and that's the other problem, is that you don't know how effective they are because you never hear about how effective they are. I wonder why. So anyway, Maria Cantwell is Democratic senator from my former state of Washington. They introduced a bipartisan bill today to reassert Congress's authority over tariffs. It requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of imposing new tariffs, which would expire unless Congress approves them within 60 days. I don't believe that this is retroactive, but one thing that we can maybe cling to as far as hope is concerned is, in the brief amount of time Trump has been reigning awfully this time around, he's introduced tariffs and then walked them back, and introduced terrible stuff and walked it back. When he's getting pushback from within his own cult, when Republicans are voting against him and pushing back, that's when he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
That
dangle, take back. Dangle, take back. Then that's another way to keep people living at this heightened sense of threat level midnight, which also not fun. And it's frustrating because, again, we warned people about this. We warned MAGA about this. We tried to explain to them how tariffs work, and they didn't want to listen. And it was a lot of stuff that was never covered by the mainstream media before the election, during the campaign. And it didn't seem to matter how many times Kamala Harris was asked about her economic plan and actually shared her economic plan. She was still criticized for not having
a plan. That was the
she did.
It was constant, though. That was the constant.
She has a degree in economics.
It's ridiculous.
Do you know that? Does anybody know that? And so what's also frustrating for those of us who care is that prior to the election, there were 23 Nobel Prize winning economists who wrote sort of an open letter to the world. And they said that Trump's plan plan for tariffs would tank global markets, and that Kamala Harris's economic plan was vastly better for not just America, but for the world. And I have put that on both my Blue Sky and my Twitter.
Yes.
So that you can see that for yourself, because it actually matters that we know what the truth is.
Well,
and the truth is that Donald Trump is not a successful businessman.
No.
Who bankrupted casinos and is no longer allowed to operate a business or do any real estate dealings in New York because
he's a cheat. He cheats on everything.
He's a convicted felon.
Yes, because he cheated and
felon.
He lied and created false documents.
Lied and cheated and is a fraud.
But,
and people voted for him anyway.
Right, and you say
so one of the things that...
When you talk about the 23 Nobel Prize winning economists, that doesn't ring, that doesn't penetrate the mind, the empty mind of the maggot. It just doesn't, they don't believe in expertise, they believe in the gut. They believe in their daddy's gut, let's go with...
Well, their daddy's gut is going to be empty. Yep. Empty.
Well, that's why Fox News is drumming out the you got to be patriotic now, bite the bullet. Pay $15 for your eggs.
That's not what he promised on day one.
I know, right?
That's not what he promised you.
What is
but
this?
When has he ever delivered on a promise?
Never.
He only delivers on threats.
He
delivers on threats, not promises. So if you're somebody who voted for Donald Trump, and I don't understand that at all, but that's a whole other conversation. You're somebody who voted for Donald Trump. Shame on you. You voted for your own bankruptcy. Yeah. You voted for your own eviction. You voted for your own starvation. And the problem is you voted for mine, too.
Yes, and everyone
else. You
voted
for my mom.
Oh, yeah, they would be fine with you, though, not them. They're fine with you
didn't
suffering.
Sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. We did not sign up to commit mass suicide along with MAGA. We did not sign up for that. And
they may hate America, but we don't. We wanted to function.
I love it.
Yeah, we wanted to actually be that shining city on a hill. Right. I mean, we want to be the good guys. We don't want, and that's the other thing that he's doing. Just like you're saying, he might roll it back, and yes, he just might. But that in itself does its own special kind of damage, because how can anybody trust us anymore? They can't. Well, it's too much chaos.
That's the thing. Well, and that's also part of it. But what we also have to remember is, look at who we're talking about. Trump doesn't speak for every single American. He does not have a mandate. He does add effects. My thing just popped up that said add effects using hand gestures. Leave me alone. It went sideways again.
Maybe you have it on some, maybe there is a thing about, like, when you move your hands, is that like
an e-cam that does that?
No, it's not the e-cam. It's not. I'm not touching your. All I do is, plug you into the spot there.
Is it? Yeah. Maybe it's something from my new iPhone update that
I think it might be like when you're going like this, and maybe it wants you to. It's like a hand command somehow. It's reading it
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes on YouTube, if you make the heart hands, it makes a heart. If you do the thumbs up, it makes
the thumbs up. Things. So yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, but I noticed it was when you were moving your hands again, and maybe that's what did it.
I'm Jewish and from the East Coast. I'm expressive. All right. So anyway, you voted for your own demise, and then you also voted for ours, and I don't think that's smart. So you personally, you hear all of this coming down. What is it that is keeping you up at night, and what is it that you're the most worried about personally?
Who, me?
If these tariffs are not overturned. Yes, you.
Little old me? Well, just being able to afford life in general.
We're talking about the individual.
Yeah, I mean, and how is that going to affect everybody else? I mean, we're all in this together. It doesn't matter, like when Musk is eliminating all these jobs and whatnot, this is all it affects us all. We are all going to suffer in this non-functioning society. And then now if they're talking about a recession, this is almost guaranteed if it continues on this track. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to live in a shithole country that Donald Trump has turned us into. And we don't have, there's no trust.
Nothing makes sense.
Yes, there's no trust in each other. There's no concern for each other. And that's why when you're saying, I don't want anybody who voted for him, I want them to wake the fuck up. But I don't,
Well,
I don't wish them harm.
I think they will now.
I hope so. I hope so.
When they can't afford a full shopping cart of food anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to it's really going to impact them now because seriously, when you do your weekly food shopping and you buy, usually the same things over and over again, so you have an idea of how much you're going to spend, whether you're shopping for an entire family or you're just shopping for yourself, but you know what your usual weekly food budget is roughly. And you're going to see that at least double. Yeah. And so you're going to have to start deciding what can we do without? I know. We don't need protein.
Yeah, what about, eggs? Eggs, right there. That was the whole thing.
Again, the big price of eggs.
Yeah.
And now it's the price of everything.
Well, eggs are like $15 a dozen in the supermarket up the block from me. So, and I remember when I did this whole thing on my show, when J.D. Vance went to a supermarket to pretend to be a man of the people, and he was holding up he was holding up 2 dozen eggs, and it was $4 he was saying this is $4 a dozen, but it was $4 actually for 2 dozen.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's like, pesky facts don't get in the way. But, I doubt he's going to make another video saying, look at the eggs are $15 freaking dollars. And I went to Trader Joe's to do my shopping. Luckily, I have a Trader Joe's here. And and it makes a difference. It really does. It's good stuff.
Do you find are the prices lower in Trader Joe's?
They are, and there's good, and it's good stuff too. It's good stuff, and
they're a reputable company that hasn't rolled back DEI, so you can feel good about shopping there.
And they have no eggs, and somebody was asking one of the people that work there that do you have eggs? And he said, well, you have to get here before the store opens. There's a line around the block waiting for eggs, because people need eggs. You could be working in a store, they need eggs, or they need like the guy in the with the little cart that sells the egg sandwiches and the coffee to people going to their offices.
Everything.
And stuff. Everything.
A guy who owns a bakery needs those eggs.
Yes.
So that's I'm really worried about food insecurity. Yeah. And I just have to feed myself and my cats, and I'm worried about that. And they, I'm worried about all of the things. I'm worried about my mother losing her Social Security, which is why I screamed at my stepfather to not vote for Trump a third time. Screamed at him.
Well, he wanted to hurt, trans people or something, right? So that's probably
see here. With my particular situation, my stepfather is just a really stubborn, hard-headed Italian guy from Brooklyn who has never voted for a Democrat in his entire life and refuses to do so even. That is it. He's not MAGA cult because he doesn't think the sun rises and sets with Trump, and in fact he thinks Trump is a moron, but he's a Republican. And so
yes, it's an identity.
And it was just like, I'll never vote for a Democrat no matter what. And I'm like, your whole life has been made easier thanks to Democrats, because he's a fucking idiot. Right. That's why.
Well, that's what it is. It's propaganda.
And the thing is, it's frustrating because, like, here's a man who's incredibly loving towards my mother, so much better to my family than my own father ever was, even though I wasn't raised by him and didn't meet him until after I was in my 20s. And he is a man who's incredibly good to my mother, incredibly supportive, took care of her through her breast cancer, and loves us, and has 6 grandchildren, all of whom are Jewish, 4 of whom are girls, and they live in. And my mom and stepdad live in New York. So honestly, he could vote for a pair of underwear, and it wouldn't matter because the Democrat always wins in New York. But the problem is that he voted for Trump and yet voted for all of the Democratic measures like making abortion more accessible and all of the things that his daughter. It happened again.
No, it didn't.
Sideways again.
It didn't do
Is that from before? Is that the delay? We are.
It might be. If you're looking at the. It's not me. You gotta.
I'm not looking.
Don't look at the feed. Don't look at the feed.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. But the whole point was last summer, last August, when I was at the DNC, and Michelle Obama gave us the assignment to have the difficult conversations with the MAGA people or the Republicans in our lives. I stood on a street in Chicago, Illinois, screaming into the phone at my stepfather, begging him
to have a conversation or not to vote for.
No, to listen to me. I begged him not to. I never tell people not to vote In the last 3 elections, I told my stepfather not to vote because he lives in New York, and I knew the Democrat was going to. What's like? Why would you bother? You know your vote isn't going to do shit in New York, and it's terrible enough that we're fighting about this.
Yeah.
And what you're not understanding is what your belief system hurts these people that you claim to love. So you can't say you love me and then vote for someone who wants to hurt
You're 100%,
me. And he says,
100%.
I don't see it that way.
Well, too bad.
See it that way
it's the truth.
Well, and that's what I said. And I said to him, you want to vote away your future and your Social Security and your nest egg, old man, go for it. Don't you dare touch my mother. Don't you dare touch my mother's Social Security. Don't you dare impact my mother's retirement. Don't you dare endanger my mother's livability. Don't you dare. And he fucking did it. And so I haven't had a conversation with him in months. And I love my stepfather. But I can't talk to him about this. I sent him a really long text.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is how I feel. And he was like, I don't want to fight with you about politics, and I love you.
It's not politics.
It's
life. It's not. This is not just about politics. This is more.
It's not about Democrat and Republican.
It's about the core
food insecurity impacts everyone.
Right. But it's about who we are as a people, now, as a human species, as a country, as a community. It's about honoring the sacrifices of people who fought, bled, and died to create and entrust this to us. That's what it's about. It's about caring about our fellow Americans, leaving no one behind, about are we going to be in this together, or are we going to, tear each other apart? That's what it's about. And letting this this grifter who has no business, who is a liar, an absolute disgusting con man, a we can go through all. There is no redeeming
felon,
qualities.
Adjudicated rapist, friend of
He's not fit. He is unfit. And what does that say about us?
He's been unfit.
Yeah, it's
again. I really hate it when you say, not hate it, but like it's frustrating. Oh, my hands again. It's frustrating for me. Nothing. It's frustrating for me personally because when you say us, it means every single person in America. He doesn't speak for every person.
No, you're right.
He doesn't speak for me. He doesn't speak for you. He doesn't speak for us. And as soon as a Democrat gets back in power, they'll have to fix their relationship with every single world leader that Donald Trump has broken.
Oh, my God.
And one of the reasons Donald Trump is fine with all of this, he doesn't care because he can't even travel to 38 different countries because he's a convicted felon.
That's right.
He's fine with destroying his own relationships with people overseas. He's fine with that. And a lot of this is his own personal jealousy over how successful Joe Biden was.
That's right. That's why it's the shit on it.
One of the reasons he killed the media, he wanted to kill the media so that they wouldn't report on how successful Joe Biden is.
And he was successful in that. All they did was report how old Joe Biden was. It was so annoying, the whole campaign, listening to the incessant Joe Biden is old and plus the propaganda. In fact, I was thinking about this earlier. It just came to my mind about when the New York Post ran a headline that Joe Biden had wandered off during the Normandy commemoration.
Oh my God.
And it was on the cover of the New York Post, and they posted this edited video on their social media, and it was so disgusting that it was like right out of the bowels of the Kremlin, and on so many levels, like when there used to be an unspoken tradition of politics ending at the water's edge. When the president travels abroad, you leave him alone to do the foreign policy thing. So we look like, we don't look like a bunch of, I'm trying not to say baboon because people say I say it too much, but whatever.
Well, like that time
a bunch
Donald
of baboons.
Trump lost the Queen of England behind
Yes.
him.
Yes, has no
like
respect and doesn't even know how to behave. Not just that she's the queen. She's like a 90-something-year-old woman, and you should have more respect totally for somebody like that, and let her walk in front of you.
Or that time he was at, I forget which one it was. It was like a G7 where he pushed his way through the crowd of all of the other world
to get
leaders,
in front.
So he would be in front and be first.
Like a child.
He's such a fucking petty baby.
Oh my
God.
Baby. And they played that on Fox News as an example of how strong he is. You get it? It's like bizarro world over there. That's not strong. That's weak.
No.
You're weak
and
childish.
Today, while he's tanking the global markets, Fox News is all about the retroactive dragging of Joe Biden. They're going all the way back, like they're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, and they're talking about all kinds of things that have nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Oh my God, the
because
laptop again?
they don't want their own audience to understand how bad this is for them.
Oh, they'll get it soon enough.
I mean, soon enough, right? Soon enough, and then what happens? I'm really curious to see, like this Saturday, there's a tremendous protest across the country in all 50 states, the hands-off protest. And I think, I'm angry enough that I might get out into these streets of Portland despite, well, I mean, I think people are angry enough that everybody who comes out is going to have a reason to be out there being angry, because this literally impacts every single American citizen, regardless of age. And unless you're someone who makes more than $360,000 a year, your taxes are going up. Your food prices are going up.
They are.
Your prescription
and your
medication
salaries
prices
are
going up.
Yeah,
and
hiring
is down.
They're not going to hire people.
Right.
There will be because of because of all the uncertainty. Like if any of these companies, they're not going to hire, and not just prices are going to go down. Your salary, is going down too. These are all the repercussions of what's staring us right in the face. That this idiot is doing deliberately for no good reason.
It's the most frustrating experience because we're sitting here as educated people who pay attention and understand the impacts of these decisions, and the Red Hat Death Squad only cares about us not winning something.
Yeah,
and this isn't
they
winning.
See us
this
cry.
is not the way to win. And you'll be crying too, because you're going to have to choose between feeding your children and keeping the lights on. And you're going to finally understand what it is to struggle. It's all of these people who are, and most of these people who are delighted by this are living at the poverty level already, and not to cast aspersions on anybody's finances, but there is the typical MAGA voter that you think of when you see the rallies and you think about what their financial situation might be. And maybe it's even because of that reason they were so easily sucked into the cult mentality, because here's this rich man and he's going to take care of you and he's going to give you all this stuff.
Well, that's
and
what they've been told.
But empty promises, right? Empty promises, and yet you stay. So he's finally, showing himself to be who he was. And I think this is all of the stuff that he would have done if he had been able to win in 2020. This was the second part of the plan that they're implementing now. That's why he's posting in all caps, the operation is over. And they've reached the point where they've caused global chaos. And this was the goal. But the question now is, well, what are you going to do now? What happens now? Because your cult is going to turn on you.
Well, yeah.
And one by one, seriously.
Well,
it's going to be a slow turn of events. But give it like a good month, because people are going to have to go through like at least 2 pay periods probably before they really feel the impact of all of this. If this all stays in place, because again, he could rip up the executive orders.
It doesn't
matter. These are all arbitrary.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. The economy didn't need to be saved from anyone except him.
It was the envy of the Western world. But it doesn't matter.
We brought up all other global economies with ours. And so the only reason to do this now is because he and Putin want to control the world together. That's what it is.
The fact that there's no tariffs on Putin, on Russia, says everything we need to know.
Does that tell you everything?
But the maggots, will they even see that? But it doesn't matter. Even if he pulls back, the damage is done. It's the chaos that's the point. And what he wants is the rest of the world, all the world leaders. See, he loves this shit, because they all have to be like, oh, please, Daddy,
please don't. We'll pull back tariffs if you do that.
Yes, this is him
it's a
getting
great,
revenge.
Big global grift.
Right. It's a revenge on everyone that ever dissed him or dismissed him and didn't invite him to the party or treated him like a tax cheating, draft dodging, reality TV convicted felon con man that he is. So it's all about the attention, and he thrives on the chaos. So, but we're just nothing to these people. That's why, when you see Elon Musk dancing with a chainsaw, it's just so vile on so many levels. But this is almost like another version of that. What do they care?
Well, they're so gleeful also in as they dance on our graves while suffering. They're digging them, right? So
there's no
they're
respect.
doing a grave digging dance, and it's so despicable. And all you can do is hope that more and more people are waking up to, hey, wait a minute. I was okay with this part of his promises, but I'm definitely not okay with this part. Right? And it's the leopards eating your face thing where it's like, well, I didn't think you would eat my face. And it all is going to have to hit them individually. And that's why you see someone like an Anna Paulina Luna pushing back against Mike Johnson. And it's going to be in dribs and drabs because she's going to agree with him on 98% of the other stuff. But she stood up and fought for new parents in Congress to have the right to vote by proxy during the postpartum weeks. And Mike Johnson has a huge problem with proxy votes, and I understand that there can be a real abuse with proxy votes. But if you implement strict guidelines with them, then there shouldn't be a problem. But Mike Johnson is such a petty little Putin bitch that he not only is big mad about that vote, he canceled all of the House votes for next week, while also giving Donald Trump the emergency help he needed to get this shit done. So, and this is why we have to, what we need is someone to filibuster in the House like Cory Booker did in the Senate. Right?
That'd be nice.
Cory Booker's filibuster injected Democrats with the energy that we have been lacking.
Thank goodness.
For the past couple of months. That man stood on the floor for 25 hours.
Good for him. And but it also,
broke Strom Thurmond's record and showed that Democrats have the stamina that MAGA does not. There's not a single Republican who could do that.
The shame of the earlier record. But what was annoying me about, of course, once again, I bring up the corporate media, and that's why, what we're doing here is so important. I hate to tell you guys, but all that the corporate media, while they were reporting on Booker's filibuster, they were reporting on it as if it was him going for the record. They kept saying only has 6 more hours till he's got the record.
Not why he did it.
Right. It's not about a record. It's
like a side effect of what he did.
But that's how they were reporting it.
He could. Well, if they had read his initial letter to if they had read the initial comments that he submitted ahead of time, he said, I rise with the intention of standing for as long as I am physically able. And he did. And he didn't take any bathroom breaks.
I know.
He
Incredible.
sipped a little bit of water, and the only time he wasn't speaking is when the other Democrats who were there with him asked him questions as a reprieve for his voice for a moment.
Which was
great.
great.
And the man is so fine. That man is so fine that he could talk about painting a fence, and I'd be hanging on every word. He was incredible. And that's the energy. He could be Senate Minority Leader in a heartbeat.
But that's
He's
the
only
energy.
55, got a great. That's the energy.
But being that you get when you are on the right side of history and the right side of humanity. He didn't need a script. I'm sure he had some notes up there. Yeah, but you speak from the heart, and it flows. And he's correct. He's 100% correct. He's talking he's actually, the Republicans are talking about the forgotten man and woman. That Cory Booker's actually speaking for these people, regardless of the fact of whether they, can't even say the name of the Democratic Party or not, which, you know what I mean? And
so
they just,
dumb.
Yeah, exactly. So, It's I don't know.
That's a huge thing for us this week. It brought a lot of energy, as did watching Elon Musk lose in Wisconsin.
Yes.
That made me happy.
That was
watching
great.
Elon Musk lose, not just lose, but lose by 10 points.
Well, he said now that he meant to do that. You know that?
Response. Fuck him. I meant to fail, said no one ever. Come on,
it was
stop it.
Some, 5D like chess thing happening that we don't, just mere mortals can't understand.
Nobody intends to fail. Nobody starts out going, I hope this
How much did he spend in that? It was
$21 million. $21 million for a cheese hat. You spent $21 million on a cheese hat, you loser. Like when one of his rockets explodes and he's like, well, we meant to do that because it was a learning experience. Why don't you get on one next time? Go ahead, sissy SpaceX.
Oh, Tara, Dublin is calling for violence against Elon Musk.
I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah, get on one.
A fact.
Then get on one, and then let's see how much how much you disregard safety standards, because that's why.
With you.
That's all he
so
does.
That's all he
does. Yeah, he fires people and he disregards the safety protocols. That's why, he's under investigation
when
and
he's
being fined.
His employees.
That's right. So, take a ride on your rocket and see how much you disregard the safety standards or abuse the actual rocket scientists who know what the hell they're doing. And that's all he does is fire people and abuse the ones who are left behind. I mean, But
if I had the opportunity to interview Elon Musk, I'd be like, well, would you put any of your children on a SpaceX rocket? Would you? Right now, today?
He might, because he's got...
Because he doesn't care.
Yeah,
he's a sociopath. He's
like,
well, I can always make another one out of a test tube. Because no one wants my botched junk.
XE3, XE... I mean, they're
not... Xylophone.
Right. They're just...
Xylem.
They're not individual beings. They're not autonomous beings. They're props. No. That's it. That's why he names them such ridiculous
they're obedient
things.
Worker bees for dear leader.
Yeah.
That's what
until they grow up.
That's the great replacement theory.
Right. Until they grow up. Yeah. Well, until these kids grow up and have their own and are able to make their own decisions, and like his trans daughter,
carefully taught.
Yeah.
No, the trans daughter got away. Lucky her.
Yeah.
Lucky her. She got away. She actually, there's an article about her that I saw. Her name is Vivian, and I saw her. She's like, Elon Musk is the world's biggest fraud. And I hear all the examples, and here's all the proof. Giant fraud, has nothing, big empty hunk of shell and nothing. But that's his own daughter saying it. So, but of course the cultists will be like, well, that's not his daughter. He had a son who died. It's just so gross and disgusting.
It's just the constant gaslighting of the media, and it's not. And I hate to say, it's not just the Fox News and Russian-funded media. It's also the mainstream, whatever, the MSNBC, the CNN, because they go on with about what an innovator, what a genius he is too, and it makes me want to puke.
It's pathetic.
He's not.
It's pathetic.
He's not.
And the other thing to do and remember is, anytime you're on whatever social media app you're doing, somebody says anything. Someone who's in the media. So like today, I responded to both Chuck Todd and Brian Stelter, neither of whom have the sack to respond to me. But it's like, they're whining about the tariff thing, and it's like, well, fuck you, dude. You're one of the reasons we got here, because you never once reported on how fantastic Joe Biden's economy was.
It's so
because
true.
Donald Trump was doing something fucking stupid and distracting.
Right.
And that's what he did to you.
And Joe Biden
he turned you into these people.
Yeah. That was all we got.
They don't... And now they don't talk about how old Trump is ever. Why don't they talk about how he's the oldest? He's old, he's sundowning, he's molting, he's demented.
No doubt.
He wears clown makeup, can't dress himself.
He's a buffoon.
Plays golf all
weekend. He's a baboon. I hate to say it.
His boobs are bigger than mine.
He wears more makeup than me and you combined, and that's for sure.
So does J.D. Vance. The clown show is unreal, and even today I was getting trolled on Instagram.
Oh no!
And they're like, "Cry more." They just MAGA people, and they're like,
geez.
because I responded to a thing about the tariffs, and somebody else responded and I'm just like, you don't just tell me you don't understand how tariffs work, but if you do, tell me how tariffs work, and don't forget to show your work. And none of them ever respond to that.
They can't show their work. Right.
They can't. And so, like, earlier on Twitter, Stephen King tweeted something about 401ks, and then and it's always some dude who looks like a testicle with a face trolling Stephen King.
I love it.
And this one has a radio, has some podcast that no one's ever heard of, but he's like, and his name, I don't remember, but it was something like, he said, done something insulting to Stephen King. It was like, you are in the dumbest cult ever. Yeah. That is your claim to fame. You're going to step to the most prolific writer of our time. Come with something that resembles facts, right? Come with something that resembles a political discussion. Throw down something that opens the door instead of, I mean, I could pull it up right now. It's just the dumbest shit, and it just reiterates
Send it to me. I'll post it. Send me if you can. It's on your Instagram? Let me see. I can find it.
This one, well, Martina Navratilova just retweeted it. No, this one is on Twitter because that's where Stephen King posts the most. 1 second. It's, I'll find it. But as we're doing, it's just like, again, it goes to the discussion that we often have, which is how they use and manipulate language as a distraction. Mm-hmm. And they move the goalposts from truths that they don't like by coming back with a response that makes no sense and has nothing to do with whatever the original poster had written. So I don't fucking know. But let me pull up Stephen King's account. It'll be faster that way. So it's okay. Stephen King tweeted, enjoy the ruin of your 401ks, Trump voters. Yes. Because Trump is like Honey Badger. He don't give a shit.
Yep.
And then MAGA comes back with how quickly you forget. Trump doubled the market during first term.
Did he?
No,
I mean, and Joe Biden had record stock market.
Here he is. I found the guy. His name is Cash Lauren. C-A-A, cash, like cash money. Lauren, L-O-R-E, and he replies, Trump is doing more for America than any Democrat ever has. Cry more. Wow. Sorry, Commie.
Cry more?
Sorry, Commie Blue Scott. Cry more, which is so original. It's
I
like
hate
2016.
Them. Well, it just goes to they hate America.
2016, right? Mm-hmm. They do.
Well, that's when they say cry more, I'm not trying to make these idiots cry. I want to make sure they have their fucking jobs, that they have health care. I
don't want them to die.
And they're like, cry more. Cry more about what, bitch? We're trying to make sure that you don't have to needlessly die without health care, that you can earn a living, that you can afford your goddamn groceries. That's cry more.
So frustrating.
You're so just they prove once again how much they hate this country, because nobody hates America and Americans more than maggots and America's enemies, right? I mean, I can
and they
hear,
prove it every single day.
They're giddy about it. Whenever America is suffering, when the American people are hurting, they're dancing around with chainsaws, right? They're just like Putin,
right.
So high-fiving each other. They love that shit. When America loses, they cheer all the time. And we have videos. This goes back. Remember when
it makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, when Chicago lost the bid for the Olympics back when Obama was president, and it was announced at CPAC, and they all fucking applauded. It's like, what is your problem?
It's so anti-American.
You're right. They hate America. They simply do. So anyway, and they prove it. So you found it.
I
okay.
Found the tweet. Yeah,
send it to me.
So Stephen King says, enjoying the ruin. Here, I'll send it. Should I send it to your? I'll send it to
you
your
can
email.
Send it on a chat. No, or whatever.
You
have your phone. Your phone.
Copy link. Wait, no. But I have my laptop open. Here, wait. I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in the chat. It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay, good. Thank you.
I put it in the YouTube chat. But what I responded to the Cash Lauren guy, he wrote, Trump is doing more for America than any Democrat ever has, which is like just the fucking stupidest thing. And I responded with, you're in the dumbest cult ever. This is the direct opposite of what he promised you on day one, Cash. Please explain how deliberately crashing the global economy is making anyone but Russia great. You traitorous testicle face. Show your work full of facts. We'll wait. And there's no response. He didn't respond. It's crazy. There's no response. because they have no answers.
No.
They have no
They can only say,
answers.
cry, I want to drink your tears, you know.
Right.
Say
Hillary.
something, you know, some personal stupid attack. I mean, you know, they're
again,
very basic
Hillary
bitches.
was right about everything.
She was.
I have that wonderful meme that lives on my phone where it's just her at the Benghazi hearings, and she's like, and it says, fucking told you. Fucking told you. I'm going to blow it up into a shroud so you can wrap me in it and bury me in it so that when I die mad.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Their hatred of Hillary Clinton, their disdain for the Democratic Party, and like you're saying, your stepfather, I will never vote for a Democrat. This is all the byproduct of the incessant propaganda that they've been consuming for years. And because there really is no rational reason for it. If they really would get the hell out of their own way, and it's in all of these poorly run red states where the Republicans do nothing for their constituents except pass hateful.
No, because blue states can.
Right,
because
and they pass
because blue states keep red states going.
That's it, and they pass these hateful, divisive bills. Tearing people apart, and that's it. And the Democratic policies that are still hanging by a thread in some places, in spite of Republican opposition, are the only things keeping these people's heads above water. But they don't even have the manners, the maturity, the decency to say thank you. They cut themselves out at the knees when they think they're doing it to other Americans, which is a whole other story we were just talking about. The Democrats need to address this head on, frankly, and stop allowing the Republicans to basically control the narrative, because something has to reach these people. You know, like for example,
well, that's why we need the Democratic press secretary.
Yes, we do, but we also need
Democratic press secretary.
We need a constant, because that doesn't. It's a great idea, and I hope they do it. And I've been suggesting that for, whenever I call my local reps too. But, hopefully they'll do it. But the Democrats also need to do things like, for example, in Marjorie Taylor Greene, Perjury Trader Greene's district, the Inflation Reduction Act, they were able to, there's a solar panel factory in Perjury Trader Greene's district that expanded under Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and they hired 5,000 more people. And every day when those people drove to work or however they got there, there should have been a billboard right outside greeting them saying, your job brought to you by the Inflation Reduction.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, Joe Biden. Thanks, Joe Biden. Exactly. But where was it?
I did that.
Yes, I did that. That's right. And
every gas station, I did that.
Exactly. And I often wonder how many. Yes, I did. This brought every ribbon cutting. There should have been a banner, an immovable signage that said, "This is brought to you. Your job brought to you by the Inflation Reduction Act, Joe Biden. I did that. Thanks, Joe Biden. Whatever it was." Because I often wonder,
can
these
you
people,
read this?
Yeah,
Thank a Democrat.
It's right, but the people showing up for their jobs with. F Joe Biden or Let's Go Brandon bumper stickers on their cars without even knowing or caring that they have a roof over their heads. They're able to put food on their table because of the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. This is the problem. That's why, people don't get it. You got to put it, you got to put it together. We have to be unapologetic about it. Mm-hmm.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene personally benefited.
Yes.
Because she owns a construction company.
Right. Well, not her. Her family. Her family owns it.
It's her family's construction company, right?
She's her job was working out at the gym 8 hours a day, every single day, and
fucking everybody there.
There you go.
But that company benefited
Yes.
from Joe Biden's pandemic
Of
relief
course they
payments.
did. Yep.
Would you like to give that money back, you Trump
Yeah.
hypocrite? Because if you don't like what Joe Biden did, you should give back all the money he did.
At least say
he
thanks.
gave to your state and to you personally. And she can't do that because she loves President Trump.
That's it.
And President
and they're
Trump.
full of shit. They have no
so
decency. They
much.
can't say, and
None.
that's why the Democrats have to point it out. You know, these people don't have the manners or the maturity to simply say thank you, Democrats. Instead, they're calling us not even by the name of the Democratic Party. I mean, it's just immature, and it shows what they should say is it shows the voter that the Republicans have nothing to offer them but little pejorative baby taunts and divisive bathroom pee-pee. Let me see your pee-pee, Bill.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get a grip here, people.
Genital inspectors, by the way.
Right.
These people who are claiming to protect children
incredible.
Who hate pedophiles, but they want there to be a children's genital inspector. Whose job is that? How do you become qualified to inspect the genitals of children? You disgusting groomers.
Right? Aren't they disgusting?
Every accusation is a confession, which means that there's a Republican somewhere in this country who owns a pizza restaurant that they're using for sex trafficking children. Because that's how they came up with Pizzagate.
That's right.
They blamed Hillary Clinton for that. If you hear something that whacked out and specifically detailed about, and if they're alleging a Democrat is doing it means they already have it going already.
You're right.
They've already been doing it.
I didn't think about that.
There's already. Well, first of all, sex trafficking children has been around as long as the United States of America.
Of course.
Human slavery has been around forever.
Yes.
And before, right? But one of the reasons why we touched on this on Tuesday, one of the reasons that there were child labor laws written into effect is because children were being forced to work from young ages under very dangerous conditions at all hours, which made them susceptible and vulnerable to sex trafficking and kidnapping and torture and all of the awful things that you cannot even think about if you're a normal human being because they're just so unimaginably unspeakable. And they want to roll those back in Florida. Ron DeSantis wants kids to work an overnight shift and then go to school.
Right.
So
because they have no solutions. It's all disgusting.
Again, so because you deport too many people and then you don't have anybody to work for you, so you're going to put little kids to work instead. It is a death cult. It is a death and rape cult. It is a death and rape and pedophilia cult. And it is a traitorous one. It's a cult that has embraced everything that is opposite of what America truly stands for, and for what they claim their religious texts stand for. Because again,
they all wear their cross now, as you see, right?
They're all wearing the crosses, and they're, most of those MAGA accounts who come after us and make with threats and bullying. The first word in their bio is Christian.
Of course,
Jesus follower,
that's right.
Child
Christ
of God.
is king. And that's not and every religious holiday they'll post, Jesus is risen. Or just wait for all the Easter posts. I wish, buddy.
The best is when Easter is on April Fool's. A couple years ago, when Easter was on April Fool's,
that's true.
Mwah.
Right.
But it's just you're in multiple cults, and I think one of the reasons why so many people who identify as MAGA are also Christians is that groupthink mentality is very comfortable for them.
Yes.
They are already used to sitting in a group, having one person standing at the front, telling them what to think. It's incredibly easy to transfer that level of I gave my trust to Father so-and-so.
Right. It's
so here's another
authoritarian.
Father leading us. And so because they have been carefully taught to obediently listen, sit still, be quiet, sit up, don't break the rules.
Obey
listen
Daddy.
to what Father says.
Yep.
And if you think about the construct of the Catholic Church to begin with, it's all really creepy and very predatory to begin with, because
of course the whole history,
every
please.
member,
but
if you think about the names that they give, the titles that they give each other: Father, Mother Superior, Brother, Sister. Those are titles that people trust. Those are titles that indicate love and security and support and nurturing,
family,
and instead and family and embracing community. Father loves you. Mother Superior. I mean, it's tough love, when we beat the ever-living shit out of you and tell you about a vengeful God and you better not touch yourself because you'll grow hair on your palms, but he loves you.
Yeah, it's
No wonder all of
it's
these
so
people
ridiculous.
are so fucked up.
Yeah, well, that's it.
It's
yeah.
very sick.
It's
a very sick way to go through life, and that's why I broke with the temp. And even if you're Jewish, you know, there are things that you're taught. They're not as extreme as that. We're not taught about a God that is vengeful. We're taught about a God that is loving and tries to protect us.
Really? Wow.
And that he only seeks vengeance on the enemies of the Jews.
I see. Not well. He did destroy the earth, though, right? In the Old Testament,
well, the whole
couple of times.
And then he was going to send an angel of death, but that we passed over the Jews,
right?
Because we painted our doors. It's just like it's the dumbest shit.
It's
you
myth,
cannot
you
part
know.
a scene.
When I was
Christians don't talk.
When I was in grad school, I took a course on myth, and it's very interesting. But I always remember that when we got to, because we went through all the myths of the major religions, and also ancient religions, and how they all kind of the demons of one religion become the gods, or the gods in one religion become the demons in the next, and but it was interesting because we got to the virgin birth, you know, Jesus, the going into the desert, your trial in the desert.
Why didn't she just shut that down?
But that virgin birth is a myth that goes. It's not just in the Christian mythology, but it's
all
in
through the Greek myths.
It's in the Egyptian. It's in the all the Eastern religions. It's in societies that never had contact with each other too. So it's really interesting because human beings
really rapey.
Yeah, but humans, I mean, just where there is some kind of like, you know, human experience that we're all trying to rationalize with. But what was interesting is that when we got to the Christian, like unpacking Christianity as a myth, there were students, you know, adults, this is in grad school, that got up and walked out. They couldn't handle it. They were mad. They were mad.
Sure, they were mad.
Yeah.
Sure, they were. When
their myth is real, don't you know? And they can't, you know, not the Krishna, that's not real. You know, the virgin birth.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All of these world religions have incredibly similar origin stories. They all have very similar takes on who their God is and how their God created the world. And all of these things are incredibly similar. And then those petered out once we got some science. Once we had some knowledge of science, then we stopped saying a man in a chariot drove the sun across the sky. We know that to be, that's not true.
Right.
So, and it's always been interesting to me that all of those myths died up, but the Christian myths were able to continue. And it's only because I think that a bunch of white men figured out a way, men who were rich, figured out a way to keep the poor scared and kept them down.
Yes.
And they created this invisible sky daddy who was watching them all the time.
Yes,
like,
but it was also
restitution to the church. You're not
100%, 100%. But it's also because of that's why the founders formed the antidote to that Western civilization, the intergenerational aristocracy and monarchy. This country was supposed to be the antidote to that, and that's why they put the wall of separation between church and state, because they had lived in a society and they knew they weren't ignoramuses, they weren't Trumpanzees. They knew that the danger of a church and state intertwined, and that's what the church did. It gave power, it gave religious authority to the kings and queens of Europe, and also told the plebs, the little guy, the serfs, that if they rose up against the king, then they would be rising up against God. That's your natural lord. This is where the Republicans are dragging us back to. There's no doubt that that's what they're doing.
No. Well, we're going to rise up on Saturday. We're going to take to the streets with the hands-off protests. They're happening in every state. You can go to their, just Google hands-off protest,
Yep.
and find out where your local one is. Here in Portland, it's starting on NATO Parkway, and then there's a big loop that's actually going to go really close to where my apartment is.
Oh,
so
really?
I might just like jump in.
Cool. Just jump in, yeah.
Most of our protests are downtown, and I live downtown, so it'll be easy for me to kind of jump in and join. We are at the end of the show.
I can't
already,
believe it.
Which is crazy.
It's incredible. It goes by
so
so
crazy,
fast.
super fast. So here's what we're going to ask, as we always do at the end of the show. Please support us to the best of your ability if you still have money in your bank account. My book, The Sound of Settling, is available now at TaraDublinRocks.com. Paperback, Kindle, and now there is an AI-generated audio book version for those who want to just listen while you're doing your other stuff. I also have my Substack.
I got mine.
Devlin has a Substack. Please. Hey, yay! I'll send you an autographed book plate.
Nice.
If you're someone who has bought my book, let me know. I'll follow you back. I'll send you an autographed book plate if you want. If you want a signed copy of the actual book, go to my Venmo, which is Venmo/TaraDublin, and send me $25, and I will mail you an autographed book. I will. I totally promise I will. Everybody, it is the weekend approaching. I know shit is extra scary, but please do something good for yourself. Watch Tara's show.
Yes.
Read our Substack.
Yes, read my Substack.
On the Political Voices Network.
Later, there'll be a good article there
over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to write an article.
Yes,
I'm writing an article about the Nazi roots.
About Elon.
Yeah, the Nazi roots of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Okay, guys, thank you for hanging out. We got to run.
We'll see you on
Tuesday. See you on Tuesday.